welcome to the studio. It's Julia with Senior Susie Stamps. I have a simple project today. To answer me this, do you all have any scraps? Don't we always have scraps? Well, I found some. This is some old Cartabella paper. I don't say old as in ancient, but it's a few years old. It's double-sided paper and it's fairly thick. So I have a piece of scratch paper here. It's just copy paper. And let's get started making these cards. We're going to make some Christmas trees today. And I have several examples to show you at the end of the video, so stay tuned. We're going to tear, this is a 1 by whatever, I don't know, it doesn't make any difference, but it's a 1-inch strip. And so we're going to tear these sort of kind of down the middle. It doesn't have to be exact. And what happens is when you tear, you'll see the torn edge on the front of this one and on the back of this one, and that's fine because we're going to alternate. So I'm going to lay these out with the torn edge facing up. It doesn't matter if they're directional papers or not, because it all kind of blends in as it goes along. I do, however, want to kind of alternate the light and dark strips on this pattern so that it doesn't get too heavy weighted in dark paper. And I'm just going to tear these apart. This has been some lovely paper. It's called Snow Much Fun, and I have some stickers sheets with it. I also have some larger pieces of paper, but I had these scraps that were left from another project that I did, and I thought, since I try to use up as many scraps as I can first, I thought it might be a good idea to just go ahead and get these made up, since I need a few extra little Christmas cards. Okay, here we go. Let the glue in start, and we're going to start by putting the torn edge just off the edge of this paper. Oops. Because that's going to be the bottom of the tree. I got some new cutting dies recently, and so I think we'll try to use one of those today. This does not have to be exact, but it can be straight across if you want it to be. If you want to kind of vary the angle of your paper, you can do that, or you can vary the angle of your cutting die or your scissors. You don't have to have cutting dies to make these cards by any means. And I have several examples to show you both with a cutting die and using scissors. They both come out equally nice, and so just use what you've got, and it's no big deal one way or the other. Just make sure your little torn edge shows up, because we have some glitter embellishment that's going to go on that torn edge. Now, I've used Christmas paper to make these today, or we're using Christmas paper today, but I have made this with all kinds of different scrap paper. So if you don't have a lot of Christmas paper scraps, no worries. Just don't worry about it. Just tear what you got and put them together. I'll be through with this in just a second, and I'll be back with the glued finished product then. So I got my gluing all done, and let me wipe this off. I'm just going to use a little water spritz here and a dry baby wipe to get my little gluey stuff off of my new mat. And then I'm going to trim this piece of copy paper off of the front. And all it's doing is holding this piece of strips together for us. So now, let me show you these cutting dies. These are some infinity dies in the shape of a Christmas tree. I have some other Christmas tree dies, but I haven't found them yet. So we're going to use one of these today. And I think there's enough paper here to do more than one. So let's do one out of this strip right here. So let me use my die cut machine. I'll be right back. That cut very well. The first time I made this with the Cartabella paper, I made the mistake of putting it on some kind of lightweight cardstock, and it was too heavy. That did not work well at all. So just a word to the wise, if you're going to use a cutting die, you may want to use copy paper instead of lightweight cardstock for that. Okay, I'm going to put my die away. And notice when I pulled that off that the tip up here needs just a little bit of extra glue. There we go. And I believe we'll make this a top fold card in portrait. And I'm going to glue this down flat to the card front. But before I do, I think I'll put a little ink shadow in around that. Let me get some ink, hang on. On the other ones that I made, I used Pool Party with this paper, and it worked beautifully, but I'm going to try some Soft Sky. It has a little more blue in it, and we'll just see how that does. And all I'm doing is just giving a little subtle color, and this may not be dark enough. Just a little winter sky behind the tree is always nice. There we go, I think that'll be fine. It's very subtle, and we're going to do enough else to this tree that it'll be fine. I want to take this little piece of copy paper off of these little points where it didn't come off in the when I pulled the die cut off. Okay, here we go. Now, let's see. I'm going to glue this down. And this is going to be a relatively flat card today. I'm going to move it up because I have some sentiments here from my sentiment notebook that I thought might be fun to use. I really wanted to use this Turn on the Twinkle. I think it's fun. Now, we're going to let that dry for just a second, and I'm going to get some ink to or some paint to spatter. This is a watercolor set, Classic Metallics by Cormarelli, and I think I will use the silver today. And I just have a little small watercolor brush. I'm going to wake up my paint with a little spritz of water. And I need to get my spatter box. So let me get that, and we shall spatter some silver onto this card. And I want this to be fairly thick paint, much thicker than you would use to watercolor with, but not so thick that it won't come off my paintbrush. And then I'm going to use a little pen to tap, tap, tap. There. Now I'm going to use the rest of the paint that's on my paintbrush and go around the edges of the branches of the tree so it has a little silver shine on it. And you may or may not be able to see that. I'm not sure in the camera whether you can see it, but I'll try to get a close-up of it where you can see the shine, because it really adds a lot. There we go. Now we're getting it. All right. There. And I think I might put just a little bit, need just a little more water here. There. I'm going to put a little shine down under that tree in kind of a vague Christmas tree shape. There. Now I'm going to go ahead and spray a little water on my paintbrush because these metallic watercolors seem to get hard on your brush much faster. And so I'll take it in the bathroom after a while and wash it properly. But for right now, that's good enough. And now I would like to put my sentiment on. And I think I'm going to hand trim this around the sentiment so that it doesn't take up so much space on the card, because it is kind of large. And it's easy to do this. All you need to do is hold your scissors still while you're cutting and turn the whatever it is you're cutting, and you can work it back and forth and back and forth, and it comes out very quickly and easily. I'll just do a little turn on the twinkle right there. And I'm also going to put this flat down on the card so that this is a very flat card. If you have international cards that you want to send, it's always probably a good idea to leave those flat cards. I think that silver paint is probably dry now. There we go. Now I'm going to get a silver star for this tree. I had this little piece of glitter paper, and I'm hoping I can get one more little star out of here. There we are. Well used little piece of glitter paper there. I'm going to put this on with some glue. Now the last thing that I want to do to this card is to put my glitter glue on, because as you know, I struggle to stay away from cards that are wet. Oh, and it's much better to wait till the very last minute and put the glitter glue on where you can set it aside. I have no idea. Oh, this I think came from the Dollar Tree. I am not sure, but it's the smallest silver glitter glue that I have at the moment. The other one's a lot larger, and I thought I would try to use this one up, and then maybe I'll just have one bottle instead of two. And what I'm doing here is just following those torn lines for the garland on the tree. And when it's thick, I put more glitter on, and when it's thin, I put a little less. And I kind of follow that curve as best I can. Then we'll put a little bit down here. There we go. So this card is done, except for whatever I end up putting on the inside of it. And I'm going to move it out of the way, but here it is. I'm hoping you can see the shine on that silver watercolor paint, because it's just gorgeous. Now let's make one out of this piece that is hand cut. And again, I'm going to turn this upside down where the torn edge is the bottom of the tree. And then I think what I'll do, these are not glued at all here. I'm going to trim this off and make a narrower tree. And there we go. And that'll be fine. And I'm going to get my trimmer out to do this. This piece is approximately 3 inches. So what I want to do is put it in my trimmer and move this point. I'm going to put the torn edge in my right hand, and this is one of the top points, and I'm going to put it on the 1.5 inch mark. and have the edge of my card, the torn edge, over here on this first cut. And then I can come back and do a second cut the other way and get a triangle that's mainly even from one side to the next. And then this is just a matter of finishing up the card. And we'll do pretty much the same thing all over again. Ooh, I don't know, can you see that? Isn't that pretty? I'll show you this one at the end with the star on it. We'll give it a chance to dry. So this was the first one that I made. And when I did it, I used, I cut this image out of a piece of copy paper so that I could use it for like a stencil, and then I just put my ink around the outside of the image because I thought I was going to maybe shadow effect it, but I didn't. In the end, I ended up not doing that. You can see some of these snowflake stickers on here, this one, and you can probably see how nice the glitter looks and shines up on that. Okay, there's one. This one's a little darker, and I added some clear gems to the tree, so it really sparkles a lot, and when the light catches that silver paint, it's just really pretty. Let's see, did I put anything on the inside? Oh, I did. I put some tree stickers on that one. Now this one I made out of the scrap that I was telling you about. I cut a tree out of a piece of copy paper. It's glued flat. I did gold spatter and made the North Star, and this one says walking in a winter wonderland, and there's a little inside treatment there. This one and this one are both made out of white paper scraps, and this has just got some ink drag on it, and then it has some holographic blue paper that I used to punch to do the star and the little baubles on. Warm winter wishes, and I put 3 little holographic circles on the inside. This one is white on white, and all I did to this one was just dog-ear the corners and used the silver and white theme. I got my little Merry Christmas out of my notebook, and it's a done deal except for the little note inside. Now on these 2 cards, the next ones, I made them out of these paper scraps, which is part of Tim Holt's paper pack. I can't remember the name of it. But once I got them torn and put together, I didn't care very much for the color. It was just a little too drab. And so I did a little ink drag on them. Let's look at this one first. And then on this one I used some copper metallic paint and copper colored glitter glue on it, and then just a little brown Merry Christmas on it. This is a kind of a textured wood filament paper card, and so the paper itself has quite a bit of interest in it. Now on this one, I found a piece of book page that had some gesso on it, and I thought, I wonder what I can do with that. And so I did a bunch of ink drag on it, several different colors, to make kind of a worn wood slab here. And this is the other half of that page that I did. It has a black trunk because I did a little black edge around this piece of shipwreck here. And then I used the silver and used some little tiny clear gems on it, and a little "'Tis the Season" out of my notebook. There's nothing on the inside of this one. So those are the cards. And our gold star is ready to glue on now to finish this card. Left just enough room, didn't I? Barely. But isn't that a pretty card? I think I'll go back and add a little gold glitter on that. just to be consistent with this project. It takes glitter glue quite a while to dry, so don't rush it if you're going to do this type of procedure. Just set it off to the side and leave it alone for a day because it takes longer than you'd think for glitter glue to dry. But isn't that going to be a pretty card when it does? So here they all are. This is the first one we made today, and here's the second one. So I hope you enjoyed these, and that maybe you'll try them, whether you have a die or just use your paper cutter or your scissors. And have a great week, everybody, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.